Gonna keep it short.
Good afternoon and welcome to the regular twice monthly meeting of Westminster's Mayor and Common Council. Please note that our meetings, although open to the public here at City Hall, continue to be available and streamed live on the city's YouTube page, as well as the Community Media Center channel and website. Now we'll begin as we do every meeting with the pledge to the flag, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As a courtesy to everyone, please take a moment to silence your cell phones or any other electronic devices that you might have that could ring or beep or make some other noise during the meeting. Thank you. Copies of this afternoon's agenda and the entire information packet that the council will be using are available online on the city's website. And I believe there are some hard copies here in the front of the room for folks who are present with us. Thank you. So we'll move on. First, we'll consider the approval of the minutes. We have minutes from the meeting of the Mayor and Common Council on April 11th, 2022. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
There's a motion to approve the minutes by Ms. Gilbert and a second by Mr. Cavacci. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. Minutes are approved. I will state for the record that we had a closed meeting on Monday, April 11th, in accordance with the general provisions article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. And that to that end, I ask that the minutes of tonight's minutes of tonight's meeting, this afternoon's meeting, reflect that the Common Council met in closed meeting on Monday, April 11th, 2022 at 8:55 p.m. pursuant to the general provision article, section 3-305B1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, as well as any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. The vote to close the meeting was unanimous.
So
There were
moved.
no staff members in attendance. The Common Council took no action during the session, and the closed meeting adjourned at 10:30 p.m. Mr. Cavacci,
So moved.
thank you. Motion to
I thought you
approve
were.
those minutes. That's right. Thank you. Second to approving the minutes of the closed meeting.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hoff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. And those minutes are approved as well. We have a couple of presentations from the mayor tonight, one of which all sad and pleased to be able to do it. I guess.
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet indeed.
Call Mr. Coffee to the front of the room, please. Thank you. So this is for recognizing coffee music. Whereas Mr. Bob Coffee began coffee music as an independently owned music store in 1984, located in the Sherwood Square Mall. And coffee music was established to create an environment where both customers and employees enjoyed themselves by trying instruments, looking for music, and having fun. And in 1997, coffee music moved to its present location at 31 East Main Street and became the largest music store in Carroll County, providing musical instruments and equipment to customers of all ages, including students and businesses. And coffee music provided a place to inspire musicians with new and used instrument sales, rentals, and service, music clinics, private lessons, and events such as demo days and a coffee road show for anyone who wanted to try an instrument. And Mr. Coffee has been the voice in the music community, and many aspiring teachers and professional musicians began their musical journey at Coffee Music. And Coffee Music has also partnered with the downtown business community to provide musical talent, equipment, and services. And Coffee Music has also provided invaluable services to the city of Westminster by providing music during events on Main Street, including summer concert series in Locust Lane and on the library stage. And whereas on May 7th, 2022, Mr. Coffee will retire. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And coffee music will close. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, the mayor of the city of Westminster, join the members of the Common Council and the city staff in congratulating Bob Coffee and Coffee Music for 38 years of operation and express our collective gratitude for the many contributions to the city of Westminster community.
Thank you very much.
You guys are-
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Would you like to say anything? We always open it up just in case.
It's just been a wild ride, and I've enjoyed every minute of being downtown and be part of it and making it grow and bringing joy, hopefully, to people's lives. And I'm going to miss it, but thank you very much.
We're gonna miss you.
We're gonna miss you.
Hopefully, we'll be okay.
Miss you.
Okay,
All right.
I'm going to exit stage
You
left.
may exit. Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to sit through the
You
rest.
don't want to sit here. There's no need. There's no
Thank you
need.
very
All
much.
right. Thank you, sir. All right. Yep.
That's a loss.
Right. So there are two other proclamations, right? Public Service Recognition Week, right? Whereas Americans are served every single day by public employees at the federal, state, municipal, county, and municipal levels, and the actions of these public employees enhance the quality of life in jurisdictions across the nation. And the city of Westminster is served by many dedicated public employees providing a variety of services to the community. And whereas the services performed by the employees include general administration, housing and code enforcement, human resources, information technology, public safety, public works, and recreation and parks. And the mayor and common council wish to recognize the work performed by city employees and those public employees employed by other levels of government. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, mayor of the city of Westminster, on behalf of the common council, do hereby proclaim that May 1st through the 7th, 2022 is declared as Public Service Recognition Week in the city of Westminster. And be it farther proclaimed that all residents are encouraged to join the mayor and council in celebrating the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels. Thank you to all of you. That was demonstrated this last Saturday. The amazing city employees that we'll have. Okay. And then finally, Arbor Week. Okay. So whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And this holiday called Arbor Day is observed in Westminster every year with a celebration organized by the Tree Commission. And trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, clean the air, produce oxygen, increase groundwater, clean surface water, and provide habitat for wildlife. And properly placed trees cut heating and cooling costs by moderating the temperature, reducing the urban heat island effect. And whereas trees increase property values and enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and trees inject natural beauty into the city for residents and visitors alike to enjoy. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, mayor of the city of Westminster, do proclaim the week of April 25th as Arbor Week in the city of Westminster. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day on April 29th, 2022, and to support efforts to protect our plants and trees and forests. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to which will further increase the sustainability of the city of Westminster, Carroll County, the state of Maryland, and the entire planet. Thank you. I'll hand that over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Important all three of those things, and especially our thanks, as we do come off of such an incredible event on Saturday that really did require teamwork from all across the city. Not a department in the city was uninvolved in that. So it really was amazing. So we really thank our city employees for all they do, not just on that day, but all throughout the year. Move on now to the next item, which is the consent calendar. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We have one more presentation under the quarterly update for the Westminster Fiber Network Project. We have Vicki Slinkman of Ting Internet. Always happy to hear how our partners at Ting are doing.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you again for having me. Pleased to be here this afternoon to share an update on quarterly progress with the Westminster Fiber Network and the marketing initiatives through Ting. All right, so we'll start off with our metrics as we usually do. So continuing to see growth in all of our neighborhoods and in all of our phases in terms of subscribers. The subscriber base grew 4% quarter over quarter. So continue to be very pleased with that growth. We did also add additional pass premise in terms of serviceable addresses, and that was because the fiber team was able to complete some construction in Carrollview Avenue, and that added about 60 serviceable addresses. So we're in the process of reaching out to those folks and letting them know that service is now available to them. And what that nets out to is increasing our take rate by 3% quarter over quarter. Any questions about the metrics before I hop into the marketing review?
So, Ms. Linkson, so Carrollview, that's just outside the city, right? Or is that in the city?
No, Carrollview Avenue is the road with the homes that is right behind Maggie's.
Yeah, that's.
Right, that's in the city.
That's in the city.
That's in the
Okay, I thought it
city,
was
yeah.
outside, okay.
Yeah, so about half of the street was done and then the other half
I see.
wasn't. So
Oh, okay.
the fiber team
Okay, great.
was able to, and sorry, speaking on behalf of your team. So anything else you'd like to add?
No, you're good. The reason this is a little strange is that that particular stretch of road is private. It's not in the city. It's not
Okay.
in the city's inventory, I'll say.
I got you.
So we don't spouse it or do anything there. So that's why it was a little bit different.
I see.
But they're good together.
All right, thank you.
Right, so then in terms of our marketing activities for the quarter, so we had 2 sponsorships. I was really pleased to be part of first the Celtic Canter, which is always a fantastic event. Was very impressed to see all of you out. I swear it snows every year, but it was particularly bad this year. But pleased to always be a part of sponsoring that. And then also the new, which I know you all have discussed before, the Icons of American Animation exhibit, which was such a lovely and great catch to be able to have that here in Westminster. So we were a sponsor of that as well. And we'll definitely be ramping up in terms of events and sponsorships as the weather improves, because there are obviously so many fantastic things that the city puts on that we love to be a part of. We've also gotten back into doing some giveaways. So we do these for a couple of different reasons. One that I ran in February was to increase engagement on our social media channels. So we had a giveaway centered around Valentine's Day, and we asked all of our followers to either like as well as comment hearts on this post. And if they did, they were entered into a drawing to win a $100 gift certificate to Cultivated, one of our fabulous downtown boutiques. So we randomly picked a person who was very thrilled to buy herself a Valentine's Day gift. which I frequently do as well. I just tell my husband to go to Cultivated and Tiame will pick out something that she knows that I like. So also tip for any other husbands, boyfriends,
Do it all the
wives who
time.
need, you do it as well, right?
All the
Yeah. And then we had a giveaway centered around customer retention. So this is something I'm increasing our focus on, is just making sure that it's not just all about getting, customers in the door and on the network, but that they're satisfied, they stay customers, and that we're really showing them that we appreciate them. So we've started doing a quarterly customer newsletter. We'll also have other sort of customer events. And then this quarter, I did we're so lucky, you're our customer, sort of St. Patrick's themed giveaway, and gave 3 customers $100 gift cards. So they were just chosen at random, gave them a Visa gift card, suggested they use it at the Celtic Canter. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that, but hopefully they still went down to one of the businesses and bought themselves a green beer or 6, not sure going rate of beer. I'm not a beer drinker, but how much beer you could get for $100, pretty sure that was a decent price.
You could definitely do it.
Not that I have problems finding your way home.
Sorry, I'm more of a wine and spirits, but I should know that because my husband's a beer drinker. But anyways, next, Mr. Weber. Thank you. So I'm finally very excited to share our Strengthen Connection campaign. So typically we have a major campaign about once a quarter. This is a campaign that we're running through February 15th through June. And it's all about the idea of showing people how having fantastic, reliable, fast fiber internet connects them, whether that's to friends, family members, their doctor, to be able to do activities online, like take a cooking class. This has been our most successful kind of larger campaign to date. And I believe it is because we've really targeted our ads towards different, what we've called persona groups. So we've taken information that we know about potential customers and kind of said, okay, so you look like, based on information we know about you, that you might be an empty nester. So we're going to serve you a particular type of ad that hopefully speaks to you. Or I'm in a group that is known as a family who uses a lot of devices. So we're going to show you an ad that shows how children engage online and with the internet. And so I think that's really why it has resonated, is because we're not just showing, kind of one creative to everyone. It's taking, creative that resonates with each customer's needs and serving them an ad based on that. And those are all the major activities for the quarter. Have a lot more in the docket for Q2, and we'll be happy to come back and present on those. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Linkman?
Mr. President.
Mr. Hoff?
Ms. Linkman,
Yes.
the one thing, and not that you have to, because I'm sure you don't have the numbers all at the top of your head, but it just would be something interesting to see, and maybe you could follow up with us, via email, is I'm just kind of curious, like if my math is right, we had quarter over quarter, we have 75 more subscribers than we did last time. I just would be curious to see like what that was, the number of new subscribers we were per quarter, like from 2019 till now.
Okay.
Just kind of curious to see what that number looks like through the pandemic, and kind of what is happening with that number as time goes on, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are right that I unfortunately cannot quote you specific numbers, but I can tell you, as you would assume, there was absolutely a spike during the pandemic. So during that time, we saw numbers that were, significant compared to any other year. But what's great is that even though that has leveled off, we're still continuing to see growth. So we might not be seeing that double digit, but I think the pandemic really did highlight some of the performance issues that people might have been having with their current service. And that kind of triggered them to look into other options.
That would be my suspicion, and seeing that data would kind of display that. And that it was just more of a curiosity.
No, your hunch is absolutely correct. And I do have the data, and I'm happy to provide that to council.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you very much. It's always great to have you come and update us. We
Yes,
appreciate it very
thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, so we will move on now to next item, which is the consent calendar. We have 4 items on the consent calendar this evening for your approval. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
And a motion by Mr. Dayhoff and a second by Mr. Hoff. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it. And the consent calendar is approved. Thank you very much. Next item is the report from the mayor, Dr. Becker.
Thank you, Council President. So I know that there are some plans for others later, so I'll just keep it very briefly, just to follow up. I'm sure we'll talk about the wine stroll a little bit later. It's just fantastic, and I'll let other people as well report on that. It was a phenomenal day for it. I'll be interested to hear how many people you think might have attended at the time. Just to follow up on the Arbor Day, there'll be a tree planting on Wednesday, the 27th at 3 p.m. In City Park. And I think by the Boys and Girls Club members will be there, if that's correct. I know I am a big fan of the Arbor Day event, so I'll be down that afternoon as well. And I'll just keep it at that. All right, thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mayor. Moving now to reports from standing committees. From our liaison to the Arts Council, Mr. Dayhoff.
Thank you, Mr. President. By all reports, the Peep Show worked out really well. It's closed for this year, and we'll look forward to other events by the Arts Council. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. I just mentioned that the executive director of the Arts Council, Ms. Griffith, happened to stop by here the other day to drop off some things for the tourism office, and I happened to be here when she did it, and it was just telling me how much she's enjoying her role, how much she appreciates your support as the city's liaison on the Arts Council, and also in general, how fabulous the city staff have been.
Yeah.
You know, whenever she's called to need anything or want anything, and she couldn't say enough things, especially Mr. Glass about your folks, said she hardly hangs up the phone, but somebody's there to fix whatever she's called about. So she appreciates all that very much.
Mr. President.
Mr. Dayhoff.
I wonder if in the future, we could have Ms. Griffin come over and make a presentation about the Peep Show.
Sure, that'd be great.
There were 20 winners, and I think that would be I think that would be great.
Or maybe just an update on how things are.
I think I would like that too. She's just doing a great job.
That'd be great.
And she really does. Every time I talk with her, she sings the praises of how supportive staff has been. Some of the issues get a little difficult, and we just always seem to be able to work them out.
Sure.
I just love working with her. Thank you.
Sure. Well, we'll ask Ms. Imholz to pursue that for us.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Economic and Community Development, Mr. Hoff.
Mr. President, just a few comments real quickly. We will not be meeting this Thursday as previously announced. We have nothing pressing on the agenda, and the city administrator is sort of knee deep in the budget process at the moment. So our next Economic and Community Development Committee meeting is currently scheduled for Thursday, May the 19th at 3:30 p.m. at 45 West Main Street.
Thank you very much. And speaking of the budget, in lieu of a meeting with you all, with the Economic and Community Development Committee, Finance Committee will be meeting, and with the city administrator to have some get an update on where she stands with her worksheet. I'm pleased to say she texted me the other day and said she turned the corner. I hope it was a good corner in the right direction, but we're hoping it was, and we're looking forward to hearing more about that.
We are looking forward to reaching the end of this process.
I'm sure we are. Personnel Committee, Ms. Gilbert.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Public Safety, Mr. Cavacci.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a little list here to go through. I'll make it quick. The department is going to recognize it's today. It already happened, already recognized Detective James O'Brien and as the officer of the quarter, and Michelle Leone as a civilian employee of the quarter. I'm sure many of you know her. She is also our parking enforcement officer, but she does a lot of other things besides that. She's also very well liked for somebody who writes people tickets on a pretty regular basis. Everybody really likes her a lot. Tomorrow is the annual award ceremony During that ceremony, Jeff Schuster is going to be promoted to captain, so that's a pretty big deal. And then, of course, we'll have all the different awards, including police officer and civilian of the year awards. So I think probably some of you, if not most of you, are going to be there tomorrow. It's always a nice event, and that is being held up at the Best Western, right, Chief? Dave Janorski, who is a detective with the department, he came from Baltimore City PD, is retiring. That's quite a loss for the department. I know he is a really skilled detective, particularly with drug enforcement, does real good work and has closed many cases here in the city. So we're disappointed to see him go. We're also losing an assistant supervisor, Nancy Payne, in dispatch, and there's a application process going on right now to fill her slots. We're sorry to see her go. We've got some 3 new police officers are all in their field training, so that's good. We have a lateral officer who starts on Tuesday, and we've got an exam process going on for entry-level applicants right on this week, I believe. Or maybe that's already happened. It happened last week, I'm sorry. We'll have a lieutenant promotion process going on, some written exams, which I know HR is assisting the chief with, so we're appreciative of that. Police officers been attending CIT training, so that's always a good thing. I know the chief is very much out in front of all that. We're very grateful for that. That's important training. That's dealing with people with crisis intervention training is what that is, and crisis intervention team training, and that's real important. And then what else do we have here? We've got Nikki Hewer and PFC Corey Ty are attending a drug abuse or prescription drug abuse seminar to learn more about how to deal with that, how to help our department handle some of the issues related to that. Chief, I'm going to let you finish out the rest of this. There's a couple of other items on here that we talked about, and I'll let you touch on those. I know that you're working on Cinco de Mayo, the break in there. So if you want to say anything about that. So that's all my report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kavachi. And what would you like to share with us about Public Works?
So this one will be briefer, I promise. Annual paving is going on right now over in Furnace Hills, about 70% complete for the allocated funds for the year. As I inaccurately reported at our last meeting, this time it actually is accurate. City Hall roof is now actually complete.
I can attest to that.
So you can attest to that. I work on Sunflower Court. They're working on lining the main from Avondale Industrial Park, and they're still waiting for some materials and things like that, as has been the case. So it seems like most of this process. And then there's an RFP out for developing a portion of Route 27 water line replacement and the clock tower rehab, which of course we got some state funding for, and a Main Street water line replacement. So they're all, at least 2 of those, probably all 3 of them are pretty complicated RFPs. I'm sure they took quite a while to write and will probably take a while to assess. So that's all going on in Public Works. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kavachi. Recreation and Parks, Mr. Dayhoff.
I guess all of us want to talk about how great the wine stroll was last weekend. And I didn't have a chance to speak with Director Gruber, but I guess I was kind of curious as to what we're doing with the Durban House these days. So maybe under your report, if that's okay with you, you can bring us up to date. Isn't there a bid out or something like, oh, we're going to approve the bid? Sharp-eyed council member Ann Gilbert has brought me up to speed. I knew I read it someplace. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. And I have nothing for the Technology Committee. Now it's time for the council comments and discussion. When members of the council get the opportunity to discuss anything that is not on the agenda or something that not part of their committee report. We'll begin with Mr. Kavachi, who is busy taking a drink of water. I apologize.
No, it's okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Since I get to go first, I know it's already been mentioned a couple times, but man, what a huge success. And you finally got some good weather for the wine stroll. It was just unbelievable. I mean, at one point I was down at the far, I guess the western end of Main Street, looking back up the hill, and it's crazy. I mean, unbelievable how many people were there. I saw lots of PD. I saw lots of streets guys working very hard. I know there were other departments out there. I saw your staff, of course, you and I think you probably ran about 10 miles. Just couldn't have been better. Just absolutely an amazing event. Hopefully the whole summer will go as swimmingly as that one did. That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kavachi. Mr. Dayhoff.
Oh, boy, you changed it up on us.
You gotta make sure you're awake.
Likes to mix it up.
Okay.
I also attended the crisis intervention team training graduation with the city administrator and Major Gibson. And we should all really be proud that we're at the forefront of that. That's just simply cutting edge. It's really smart police work. And I'm really proud to be a part of that. I think that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gilbert.
I have a couple things. So like everybody else, I want to comment on the wine stroll. I can't wait to hear how many people, I know it was thousands of people who came to what I feel is our little city. They were enjoying their spirits, they were shopping, enjoying the music, dancing, they were having a great time. It was quite pleasant to just sit under a tree and watch everyone happy and smiling and together, unmasked. It was just a great feeling. I heard tons of comments as I walked around. Many included their wishes to see more events like that. I know, hold on, I'll keep going. I know, I even shared that and I'll have something else as I'm reporting. Even if it's just one block, at night to just open up the street to a band or something simple, say dancing in the streets, or I'll say that loosely. Anyway, just enough to allow folks to sit back and listen. So I also had written in my comments that I say that not to give Ms. Gruber a heart attack, of which obviously has just almost happened, but to show that Westminster and everyone who worked at the event we can put on a successful event, and people just want to see more of those events. Our police department, our streets department, and without them, I'm sure Ms. Gruber couldn't even do the event at all. So everyone comes together to ensure everyone has a wonderful experience. And it is seen through every single thing, every single detail, from the tablecloths to the table arrangements to the entry procedure, the police presence, the cleanliness of the streets, the installation and the takedown, everything. It was absolutely wonderful. And we are quite blessed to have all the staff that we do in every department. And to add a little bit of perspective and a follow-up on Tony's comments, I have heard that as of Saturday, Abby walked over 18 miles. Am I correct on that?
You are correct. Yes.
A day of amazing steps, but 18 miles for one event and one person.
She's ran 40-mile marathons before. That's nothing for her.
So that just kind of puts it into perspective for those of us that have put together events and those of us who have not, how much work that takes and how much just in the steps alone. So thank you. The second item I want to mention is regarding the veterans flags down on Main Street. If anybody has a veteran in their family, or of a special friend or someone who is a veteran and you want to honor them or their memory, Carroll County Veterans Independence Project has partnered with Westminster to launch Hometown Hero Banner Program. Everyone up here has a sample of the application for the banners. They can be purchased for $125. Or you can call the Carroll County Veterans Independence Project to pick up a brochure and an application for a banner. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gilbert. In Ms. Gruber's defense, I will say, I don't think she actually walked any of those 18 miles.
She ran the
She
whole
was
time.
running the whole time.
I agree.
Running.
And that's what I saw anyway. And secondly, yeah, next time somebody says that to you, I would refer them to our concert series and our movie nights. So we do have other events they can go to and enjoy being downtown without Ms. Gruber having to hold another. Mr. Hoff.
Yes, a couple different things. Number one, on the last time I gave you an update on the legislative Annapolis front, just to kind of give you a brief update. Both the bill for the capital budget and for the highway user revenue bill are both sitting on the governor's desk. They have not been signed yet. I will certainly share with you once they are signed, not that I'm expecting any issue. He's going to sign his own budget, I'm sure. But I will continue to keep you posted on those items. Then in reference to the wine stroll, I will say again, I have to commend Ms. Gruber, Mr. Glass, Chief Ledwell, all the staff for all the hard work related to the wine stroll. And I've always thought we've been extremely lucky for a city of our size to have as many events as we do. No offense to Ann, I mean, more is great, but we are really lucky considering our size. But I thought I would share an interesting anecdote that I thought you all would find interesting. This particular time, I didn't buy one VIP table, I bought two and invited a whole bunch of friends from all over the place. Some of those friends, one friend was from DC. She had never been to downtown Westminster before. Two of the other friends had never been to downtown Westminster before and live in Roland Park in Baltimore. All three of them were blown away by the size of the event, by the quality of the event, and were like, damn, Westminster is a really neat place. And I was like, yes, it is. That's why I love this town. And they're already planning on coming back for the oyster stroll. So I think in perspective, I had heard before, back way before my day, that sometimes people were wondering why we do these events and as many as we do. But it's great for our citizens. But also, I really think it puts Westminster on the map because both of these people have high-powered jobs. They know a lot of people. They go back to where they are and they say, wow, Westminster is a really neat place. I have a friend who lives up there and I was just at a festival. That kind of positive word of mouth means a heck of a lot for us as a community, from an economic development standpoint, from all those standpoints. So I will say, I love what we do as a city when it comes to these events. We do them very well. And I dare say that we do them compared to cities that are larger than us, better than most. So I commend the staff for that because it's frankly amazing. And it really speaks highly when I have people, come in from out of town and make those kind of comments. Since Tina's in the audience as well, Tina, I will mention that when they saw your Be Kind, and I think I pointed it out, they saw your Be Kind signs and they were like, oh, I've seen them around Baltimore and DC. And I'm like, yes, that started out in Westminster. And again, they looked at me in shock that started out in Westminster. I won't say what they said to me, but the indication is they were surprised that kind of vibe was in this town. And I'm like, Westminster is a very unique place. And that speaks volumes to the kind of council we are and the kind of community we are. So I will shut up now, but it really displays how special our city is. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoff. I won't add much to that except say I had a blast. Well done, as always.
Thank you.
I also wanted to mention that last Saturday night after the wine stroll, I had the opportunity to represent Westminster at the Historical Society's annual gala. It was held in some community in the Northwest. I forget the name. It was a very nice venue there. But had a lot of fun. It was a great event. The folks at the Historical Society were very pleased that the city was represented, and it was a nice event. Looking forward to the Taste of Carroll event tonight, which is being held somewhere to the south. I don't understand what's going on here. They used to hold all these things in Westminster, but
I
anyway,
agree, Mr. President.
looking forward to that as well. With that, we'll move on. Next item is bids. We have one bid this evening. Approval of bid for something that Mr. Dayhoff did not notice on his agenda. The Durban House Exterior Renovations. Director Gruber.
Yes, thank you so much. I was just digging for my glasses and I couldn't find them, so bear with me as I trumpet my arms out this way.
We all have extra
Mr.
pairs.
Glass is.
We're all that age.
We're all that age. We all need
Oh,
readers.
yes, they
Miss
did,
Black,
thank you.
Look,
Oh, she looks so studious.
yeah, you do.
She's gonna be a professor. We want to keep her in Princeton.
Apologies. The fiscal year 2022 capital projects budget and grant funding from the Maryland Historic Areas Authority provides funding for exterior renovations to the Durban House. Specifically, this project is to seal the building envelope and preserve the structure for adaptive reuse in the future. Over the past several years, the condition of this historic structure has steadily declined. Last fiscal year, grant funding provided by the Maryland Historic Areas Authority allowed the city to commission a historic structure assessment. This study recommended a course of action to protect the landmark property. To begin the renovation strategy presented in the HSA, exterior renovations must occur first. The request for bids for this project was posted on eMaryland Marketplace on March 15th, 2022. Three contractors responded with bids ranging from $311,500 to $668,321. A table of those bid responses have been provided for you in your council packet. After reviewing submissions, staff determined that the lowest bid submitted by Building Concepts LLC from Finksburg, Maryland will meet the city's needs. Building Concepts LLC submitted a thorough proposal, references were checked, and staff received a favorable response regarding the company's timeliness, quality, and integrity of work performed. With that, staff recommends that the city award the bid to Building Concepts LLC for $311,500 for exterior renovation of the Durban House.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gruber. You've heard Ms. Gruber's explanation. I have a motion to approve the bid.
Motion to approve.
A motion by Mr. Dayhoff and a second by Ms. Gilbert. Is there any discussion or any questions from Ms. Gruber?
May I ask a question?
Mr. Dayhoff.
Will the work, can we do the work this summer?
We expect, we actually anticipate that the work will begin in May.
Cool. Okay, thanks. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else?
May I ask another question?
Yes,
I'm
Ms.
just
Gilbert.
curious. So there was a large difference between the first two bids and the third. Any particular reason why, or just because their bid was higher, or was there something specific that made it higher?
I had many discussions with the architect that did the historic structure assessment on why this gap occurred. And we actually even had some contact with the manufacturer of the roof system that was spec'd in the project. And everything that they submitted line item by line item in their bid response was just remarkably higher than the others. And then when we drilled down on the roofing situation, it was basically the manufacturer of that roofing restoration system called me to say they are trying to charge you way too much.
Okay.
So I don't know why that was, but he did.
So
check it.
Just in case it can,
So, Mr. President,
Mr. Hoff.
just to put on that, there were two of the bids were not that far apart. The one was for 311, the other one was for 358. The other one was insanely over that. You know, and mind you, the location of this one is in Finksburg, so that might be part of the reason as well. And that's just the nature. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Glass, you've educated me that before. You just get different bid amounts because it's all closed, no one knows, and depending if they really want the work. But I will say, having read through the whole package and having done historical restoration work before, I know it's more than what we were hoping it to be. But this kind of work is very tedious and very time consuming and therefore can be very expensive. So it didn't, under current market conditions, quite frankly, either of the two lowest bids did not seem out of the ballpark of reasonability. The third certainly did. So I'm very comfortable, moving forward. Of course, I wish it was less. Who doesn't? But it is what it is. And if we want to save the structure to have the ability to use it in the future for Wakefield Valley, maybe we need to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Hoff. Anyone else?
Mr. President.
Mr. Kalachi.
So I think, I know you all sitting up here and staff involved understand this. I'm not really talking to any of the folks in this room, but I think for the record, I doubt there's anybody watching, but I think for the record, we need to make sure it's clear. This does not allow us to use the building. This is doing nothing more than preserving the building so that we can then come back and turn it into something in the future that we see as a viable use of the structure. But this is doing nothing more than just preserving it. And I think it's important that we make note of that, because I think some folks will think probably that they're not going to understand why, when whatever work is going to get done there, why isn't it being used? And we will hear that from people. We'll hear from folks, well, wait a minute, why did you spend all that money? But we get nothing out of it in terms of use. And what we get out of it is the preservation of a building that's probably somewhat irreplaceable in the community. And I think we have to keep that in mind. We've all bemoaned certain structures being demolished or lost. And as much as it pains me to spend this money on something we're not even going to get to use at this point, we do have to preserve some of this for posterity and for our history. And I think it's important that we all, that it's in the record that that's what we're doing here. And hopefully in the future, when we do find the proper use for it, we can leverage other dollars, maybe other than, general fund money, to do the future work on the building that we'll need to do so that we can actually start using it. That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kalachi. And I know that Ms. Gruber and Ms. Imholtz are always on the hunt for additional funds to do these kinds of things. And so we will remain hopeful that will happen. On this project, that we're about to do tonight, how much do we have available to us budgeted for this?
I'll take that one. See the deer in headlights coming from across the room. We have budgeted in the fiscal year 22 budget $200,000 for this project. $100,000 is coming from an MHAA grant, Maryland Historic something or other. Areas Authority. And $100,000 is the matching portion of that. That came from the general fund.
Right.
The remaining amount to cover the $111,000 we're projecting from our ARPA funds.
Right. So you'll come back to the budget amendment later on that. So
No, because we don't need all of that this fiscal year. So
Okay.
next year's budget, fiscal
very
year
good.
23, in the capital improvement plan, you'll see the remainder of that.
Sounds great. Okay, thank you. Anyone
We're
else?
using
Oh, yeah.
this year, Ms. Gruber mentioned that we're going to start this project in May. So we'll spend May and June. We're using the city's portion of
Okay.
city, MHAA, ARPA. We're using the city's portion first this fiscal year. We'll
Okay,
use the remaining portions next year.
that makes sense.
Makes sense. Very good.
Mr.
Thank
President.
you. Mr. Deha.
Yeah, I think we're going to get really good return off of this building down the road, and we need to preserve it. I also do historic preservation. And also, as far as the bids are concerned, I'm seeing a lot of this. I'm seeing several reasonable bids and then several outliers. I don't know how to explain it. I guess they're hoping that if they get the work, they're going to be well paid. I don't know.
No.
But I think we're going to get great return off of this, and I'm really happy that we're doing it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right, if there's no one else, we're ready for the vote. All those in favor of approving the bid presented by the staff, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it. And the bid is approved. All right, Ms. Gruber, get to work.
Get to-
All right, ordinances and resolutions. We have one this evening, or this afternoon, I should say. Adoption, force of habit, adoption of ordinance number 941, fiscal year 2022 budget amendment number 2, an ordinance of the mayor and common council of Westminster, Maryland, amending the adopted budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022. This was before us for introduction at our last meeting and here, of course, again for adoption. Ms. Impulse, anything you'd like to add to this?
No, sir. Do you want me to reread the memo?
I don't think that's necessary. I think we've all had it. We all seen it. Does anybody have any additional comments or questions from last time? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it. And the ordinance is adopted. There is no unfinished business of which I'm aware. Does anybody have any unfinished business to bring before the council? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Approval of acquisition of one police vehicle, a 2022 Chevy Traverse V6 all-wheel drive. All right?
Yeah.
All-wheel drive SUV LS from Lawrence Chevrolet in the amount of $35,965. Chief Ledwell.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. In accordance with the police department's fleet purchase schedule, the purchase of 4 vehicles was approved for the FY22 capital budget. The total allocated in FY22 for these vehicles, including the cost of upfitting, was $157,650. 3 police cruisers have already been purchased. The sole remaining vehicle scheduled for replacement is a utility vehicle for our Criminal Investigations Bureau. There is $41,859 remaining in the FY22 capital budget for this purpose. We checked with the Maryland bid contractors. Criswell Fleet Sales of Gaithersburg currently has one available or upcoming for a cost of $37,489. I asked staff to research additional quotes with other Chevy dealerships. We were able to locate Lawrence Chevrolet in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, who had a GM fleet discount account number 815403 for the city of Westminster. So they were able to provide us with the same vehicle at a $1,500 discount of $35,965. We were requesting to purchase one police vehicle from Lawrence Chevrolet of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, with the city of Westminster GM fleet discount account at a total cost of $35,965. And we are recommending the common council to approve this purchase.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for the chief?
Mr. President, I just have a comment. I want to commend staff for taking the extra effort to get an additional bid. It might only be $1,500, but every little bit counts. And I appreciate, seeing that kind of effort from staff to, save every bit we can. So I commend you all for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoff.
Mr. Council President,
Ms. Levan.
I just want for the record to reflect that we are recommending approval of this as a minor deviation from the strict terms of your procurement policy because this price was procured not through the competitive bid process. However, it complies fully with the spirit of your procurement policy that you acquire equipment and other items at the lowest possible price to the municipalities.
All right, thank you, Ms. Levan. Anyone else? Hearing no one else? Move on to approval. All those in favor of acquisition of the vehicle?
We didn't do it.
Oh, we do a motion. I apologize. Thank you for catching that. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Been a motion by Ms. Gilbert. Is there a second?
So.
A second by Mr. Cavacci. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. And the motion is approved. It's time for departmental reports. Now we'll turn to our city administrator, Ms. Imholz, will lead us through that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is there a fire report, Councilmember Dayhoff?
We're extremely busy. Everybody should be fire safe and exercise caution as the summer approaches. We are extremely busy. Thank you, Ms. Hudson.
Thank you, sir. Heard a lot about the wine stroll. I had a good time as well. I wasn't working that day. I was happy to not be. But let me tell you, everyone else was. They start working at 5 a.m. That event, I think the music started at 11, if I remember correctly. The wine strolling part started at 12, but staff started at 5. So it ends at 4, wasn't exactly over at 4, started breaking down. So they put in a ridiculously long day on their day off, theoretically. And they're all back at work today, getting ready for the next thing and keeping everything up. So I really appreciate all their hard work. I was thankful to have the day off myself, even though they didn't. And I just want to make everyone in the room aware that those events take twice as long for staff to put on, although they are fantastic, and we really had a good time. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the recreation director. I'm happy to see she's not hooked up to an IV or anything after her very, very long day. An extremely long week in advance of that. It's always, I mentioned this before, it's always plan B, C, D, E, F, G, and on and on and on. And this was no exception. So can you give us a quick update on Wine Stroll and anything else you'd like to give us, Ms. Gruber?
I certainly can. First, I just want to thank you for all your positive comments and your continued support of our events. We carry that with us as we're going into these long weeks and these long hours because we know that it's appreciated. So thank you very much. And there is a mantra in my department. We say every last detail. So when we are going into an event, we are always assessing every last detail. We want people to show up and say they thought of every last detail. What that means though, is that we require help from every single department in this city to make sure that we've covered every last detail. And this time it truly was. We were borrowing iPads from housing. We had IT pulled in late on a Friday because we were troubleshooting some last minute technology issues. Of course, you saw the police presence that help us keep our streets safe during these events. Public Works is a major, major partner in putting these things on. 15 of the Public Works staff were out that day and they were popping. So they are just there and ready to do anything that we throw at them just to make it happen. So everybody pulls together in these instances and it's just really, it's heartwarming. It's heartwarming. It's amazing to work with a staff that is so collaborative and so energetic. So thank you to continue to support our efforts and to appreciate them because it means a lot. And my staff recognized that you were there and that you said hello to them while they were running around. And so that was one of the things that I got from my staff this morning was that they were grateful to see all of you there and they felt so very supported. And they're super energized coming off of this. You would think that we're like, dead and ready for a nap, but no, like it works the opposite for the Recreation and Parks Department. They're like ready for the next one. So they feed off of that. We do think there was probably about 10,000 or greater people in attendance. It's really hard for us to count. We don't get a good idea even from our gate sales because people still come in and don't come through our gates. So we think it was 10,000 or more, definitely record attendance for our strolls.
Yep.
So,
No
but
question.
as Mr. Glass and I were discussing at the beginning of this meeting, it was like the perfect storm. So you're coming out of pandemic, people are starting to feel comfortable again. We had perfect weather. We had great bands. We had great vendors. So it just was one of those things that, it's everything you could wish for happened on that particular day. So we shoved everything in the door Saturday night and we unpacked it this morning. And now we are switching gears for Flower and Jazz Festival, which is 2 weeks away on May 7th, I think is the date, the Saturday before Mother's Day. That festival actually runs from Longwell in Maine to PA and Anchor Avenue because it is a art-centric festival. We like to have our arts council in our footprint for that particular festival. We'll have live jazz music on 3 entertainment stages and a plethora of plant and artisan and craft vendors. So come out and do your Mother's Day shopping. Treat those special ladies in your life to a great gift and buy it on Main Street. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Any questions for the Recreation Department? Thank you again for all your hard work. We're going to move straight on to the Public Works Department, who 100% supported the wine stroll the day before. And we leaned heavily on other duties as assigned for the Public Works Department, because every time I walked in a new direction, I saw someone else doing something different. As I headed towards Center Street, they were helping out at this booth. As I headed down the other direction from Center Street, now they're pushing a cart, now they're helping Abby, now they're carrying this, now they're opening that. And no one seemed at all concerned about that. They were happy to help and happy to have so many people downtown. So big kudos to the Public Works Department. Mr. Glass, what do you have to report to us?
So I certainly appreciate those kind remarks. It's not because of me, I was not able to attend. But certainly Steve Strasberg and the
Yes.
fellows from the street department are as incredible as that. Sorry to hear that it was 18 miles racked up on your
On my odometer.
on your odometer. But I am happy to say that it was not 18 miles in a single direction, which certainly would be understandable.
Heard that. Jeez.
But I also heard from the street department as well with regard to the support and that the council stopped by, said hi, shook hands, that kind of thing. That means a tremendous amount. I know that you know that, but it's important to say it again. So the other thing I wanted to talk about briefly, I know you have another place to be. It came up in conversation the other day about our I&I work for inflow and infiltration, just as a reminder what that acronym is for. We've done incredibly well. And I'm not trying to blow my own horn on this one either, but you'll recall that work started back in 2018 with about $1 million of funding. The average daily flows back then at the treatment plant were 6.5 million gallons per day.
In a 5 million gallon plant.
We were able to maintain compliance, but you took the words right out of my mouth. The design flow was 5 million gallons per day. So we were operating, and that's not peak. Peak numbers are generally 3 times or so more than the average. So tremendous amount of flow. Couldn't have been a more timely effort to start funding for the inflow and infiltration project back in 2018. Currently, we're working on phase 4. And our average daily flows are 4.2 million gallons per day. So that's a reduction to 2.3 million gallons per day. And since that time, since 2018, we've been budgeting about $1 million a year. So far, we've just a couple fun facts, spent about $3 million for a 2.3 million gallon per day reduction. So that equates to $1.3 million per million gallons reduced in capital cost. What it doesn't include are operational savings as well in chemicals, power, electricity, that sort of thing. So there's additional savings there that is not quite as easy to show. The other thing I wanted to compare it against is what else could you do if you didn't reduce the I&I? You could expand the plant. We have some numbers with that too. We can expand the plant up to 6.5 million gallons per day. That estimated cost is $12 million. So that gives us a cost per million gallons at $8 million per million gallons if we elected to expand the plant instead of do the I&I reduction. So clearly it's less expensive to remove the I&I than it is to expand and treat for it. So another fun fact, just by example, not suggesting we would do this, but if we compared that in number of connections, 2.3 million gallons removed is about 9,800 connections, residential connections at 235 gallons per day per connection, times our benefit assessment fees that we would get if we spent that flow that direction is right about $140 million in revenue we would get just in that reduction of the 2.3 million gallons. So again, move forward here. We've been really successful and done well in eliminating or reducing the extraneous flows. And the math shows that we certainly went in the right direction to remove the I&I instead of expand for it. That's all I had. No further questions.
Mr. President.
Mr. Kavachi.
So one thing you didn't touch on, because it's amazing, the raw dollars that, because I was sitting here doing the math of at the $6 million plant at 5 million gallons, what would it cost to add that 2.8? And it's even more if you do it that way. But the one thing you didn't mention, and I know it was probably just to keep it brief, if you don't address the I&I issues, they get worse progressively and actually exponentially, because water starts getting in there and degrading those lines probably at an exponential rate once it gets to a certain magnitude. So had we not done this, not only are we saving the 2.8, but we probably saved tens of millions of dollars in repair work of caved in streets and, dirt and earth that would get moved and displaced that we would have to deal with. It just is unbelievable. I mean, and this was all your brainchild, because I was here from the beginning when you started talking about this 10 years ago or more, about how critical it was to jump on this. And it's just one more reason why I'm loath to see you head out of here soon, because it's just, you have saved the city probably tens of millions of dollars, literally. And it's just, we're incredibly grateful. So thank you very, very much.
You're certainly welcome. And that's really the reason I brought it up, is so you would say that.
Yeah, of course. Well, we planned that.
So I would like to make a comment too. It's just not to belabor
Already heard enough.
is, the other thing, big picture wise, is, eventually if we don't get that under control, we would have to build a new sewer treatment plant and potentially in another watershed, because you can only expand so much because of MDE. We now have room to grow because we've done this. And from an economic development standpoint, big picture wise, phenomenal that you all prior to me were able to accomplish this, because otherwise, if we start getting into having to build a additional wastewater treatment plant and another watershed, I would imagine that's a lot of money. So anyway, so fantastic job. I had, wasn't around back then, but great. So.
One of the reasons why we're bringing this up today is that we had quite big storms recently. And we were, even with all that extra water, we were still under our capacity numbers at the wastewater plants. And that is a direct result of the decisions this council made to spend our very limited resources in this way. So we wanted to make sure that we, in addition to thanking Mr. Glass, which is appropriate, that we also want to thank you for all of your work. We don't currently have a finance director, but I'll give a finance report, Mr. President. And I just want to take a moment to thank our finance staff who have been holding down the fort without a finance director. And during COVID, there were quite a few people that were out in the finance department. So they have been doing a fierce job of making sure that we get through a transition with no finance director, with a new city administrator, with a variety of other issues going on. So I just want to take a moment to thank our finance staff. Our HR director is out ill today, so I'll give a quick report from Human Resources, and that is we have quite a few positions that are open right now. For anyone who's listening, please go to our website, take a look. And we are eager for new exciting staff to join our old exciting team. How about that? With that, we're going to move over to the planning department.
Thank you. Good evening. The no item scheduled for the May 3rd Board of Zoning Appeals meeting on Wednesday, May 4th. The Historic District Commission is scheduled to hear a tax credit application for 72 West Green Street. We'll also be holding elections, and they are continuing discussion regarding the demolition permit process, and also looking at historic preservation best practices throughout the state as part of that discussion as well. On Thursday, May 12th, the Planning and Zoning Commission is scheduled to hear a site development plan application for Westminster Station Phase 2. This includes 38,517 square feet of retail and 4,936 square feet of a standalone restaurant. And I just want to, unfortunately, today was Andrew Gray's last day working with the city. I just want to thank him for his work and commitment to the city of Westminster, and he will be missed. And that completes my report.
Mr. President, do we know where he's going?
Carroll County.
Oh, he's going to the
Comprehensive
county.
Planning Department. It's something a little bit different from day-to-day development review application type of work. So he just wants to kind of expand his
his knowledge.
Yeah, he did a nice job.
Mr. President, just one thing to note for staff. I believe that we tentatively have scheduled on May the 12th, a council budget work session at 4:30. And when we talked about that in finance, we discussed the idea of moving the Planning and Zoning Commission I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
We talked about the idea of moving the Planning and Zoning meeting from the 12th potentially, so that when conflict, because obviously I can't be two places at one time. And considering that at the last meeting, I wasn't going to be there, but then was called because they need a quorum. I just a little bit concerned about that. So if you guys could, from a staff standpoint, kind of address that or figure out how you want to handle that behind the scenes, that would be great. But I just want to acknowledge that could be a long budget work session, and plus my brain might be spent as well by the time I get to planning and zoning at 7. If I get there by 7.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Sure.
All right, let's move on to housing. Mr. Brown?
Sure. Just one thing to alert the council of, and that is within the next 2 weeks, you may have colleagues or friends that landlords will be sending out notices to them that in advance that they need to renew their license by the end of June. So there will be 2 notices go out, one in 2 weeks and then another one in mid-June, just to make sure we get everybody. We'll still get some stragglers, but at least it will not be because they did not know.
Any other questions for housing?
So very quickly, thank you very much for giving us a heads up on that, because you're absolutely right. That is the type of thing sometimes we'll get some feedback from, and it's so helpful for you to share that with us so that we're not like a deer in a headlight. So thank you very much for letting us know that. Really appreciate it. I know it seems small, but it can be big when we're in the middle of dinner with our family and somebody comes over and starts pinging us and we're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So thanks.
So, and also to add on, Mr. Brown, I appreciate you doing that, because I will tell you, sometimes the notices have not gone out on a timely basis.
Yep.
And the fact that you're already on top of that is fantastic, because the fact that we're kind of getting it out there and even sending a reminder before that deadline hits is great, because that has not happened in the past all the time. So kudos to that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right, we're going to end with the police department. I had an opportunity, as Councilmember Dayhoff mentioned, to attend the CIT graduation. We had 6 police officers who graduated from that program. As Councilmember Dayhoff said, that is a fairly unique program and opportunity for our community. I have a friend who is tangentially in the field, and she commented that she was so proud to live in a city that values this sort of deterrent opportunity, and we do too. So thank you, Chief. Tell us what's good in the police department.
Okay, so to pick up where Councilman Kabachi left off, our opioid response protocol initiative, one of the 4 phases that we were working on was training for first responders, and then hoping to parlay that into a community block of instruction. So we've got our first responder first in-service training scheduled for May 31st and June 16th. It's titled Breaking Barriers. It'll take place at our Public Safety Training Center. It's open to all Carroll County first responders. And we're looking to educate public safety on harm reduction and the stigma of substance use disorders. We will discuss the importance of public safety response and connecting individuals with resources to minimize repeated overdoses and the number of fatalities. Instructors will be from the Health Department, State Attorney's Office, and an employee from the Winfield Fire Department. And instruction will include treatment options, success stories, the science of addiction, signs and symptoms, and breaking barriers and addressing the stigma. So we're hoping that that's a success and that we can continue to roll it out. Last week, as Councilman Kawachi mentioned, Captain, your and PFC Roy Tai attended the Prescription Drug Abuse and Heroin Summit Conference. It included a numerous number of breakout sessions, including healing community study, deploying evidence-based practices to reduce opioid overdose deaths through community engagement partnerships, the case for harm reduction, one choice for health, and I could go on and on and on, but both of them found it incredibly informative. They made contacts with other cities throughout the nation who have programs in place. And one of the things we're doing is as we stand up the OD2A funded team, the case manager and the two peers of the health department are funding. We're going to hold virtual meetings that will partner with some of these other municipalities, and we're going to be able to build upon their knowledge and what they already have in place. They're going to learn from what we're doing, and I think it'll be mutually beneficial. So I was happy about that. And we sent PFC Tai as a line officer because I think it's important to get that buy-in at the boots on the ground level, to get them to have some firsthand experience with what's going on out there. We did have a burglary at Cinco de Mayo restaurant the weekend before last. There were 4 additional similar ones in Carroll County during the same night. Our officers discovered it, and it's part of a regional series. We're meeting with Montgomery County Police and others to look at and follow up on some leads. And that's all I have unless there are any questions.
Final thing I'd like to say, Mr. President, is the next time the council meets, which is on May 9th, we will introduce the fiscal year 23 budget. Before we get into the details of all that, I want to take a moment to thank the staff. I was not here last year when the budget was prepared. No one is here from last year when the budget was prepared. And the staff has really just stepped up to provide the assistance, the knowledge on an ongoing basis at strange hours when I'm working on it, when I need the information. So this is a group effort from the staff. We've put together a budget I think you'll be proud of, and we're looking forward to bringing that to the council on the 9th. That concludes the departmental reports.
Very good, thank you. And I know that the budget's been a challenge without a finance director, and less than a year's experience in Westminster, although you have lots of other experiences. So it's we're looking forward to seeing it and working with you to get it completed.
Thank you, sir.
The final item on our agenda is citizens' comments, when we invite the public to address the mayor and council on any issues that pertain to this afternoon's agenda, or any other city issues. Let me remind everyone, this is an opportunity for the public to share their thoughts and concerns, not exchange or debate or answer questions. For citizens not attending the public meeting, we invite you to send us your comments or concerns via email at comments@westminstermd.gov. All comments received by email will be shared with the mayor and council. Commenters by email should include their address and phone number with their comments. And now, is there anyone here with us tonight who wishes to be heard? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Tina Thomas, 46 Bond Street, Westminster, citizen of Westminster. Proud to say, because I was very impressed with everybody on the city staff with the wine stroll. Amazing. We called it opening day for Westminster and
that's good.
Westminster's events.
That's good.
And hopefully it's an indicator of how well the entire year is going to roll for everybody. So we're grateful to be living in a city with caring people who want to do things together for each other and for the city. So I just wanted to voice that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that concludes our agenda and the meeting. Our next regular meeting will be held on Monday, May 9th at our usual time. Thanks everybody for adjusting their schedule for today. And with that, without objection, we are adjourned, and please stay safe and healthy.